Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of the Talk Your Shit Sports Podcast. Welcome back. I'm David Braid here with my main man, highlight reel Patrick Valdez. Peace, say what up.
What's going on?
Welcome everyone. If you're just tuning in, this is a podcast where we leverage our love for sports while highlighting the journeys of sports fans, coaches, trainers, and current and former athletes. Right now, we'd like everyone to go to our IG page and follow us on the Talk Your Shit Sports Podcast. Follow us on Facebook at Talk Your Sports Podcast. You can find us on Anchor, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. Without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, we're gonna get right into it tonight, man, because we got a dope episode, man. We got two young, awesome football players, man, from the DC Divas, man. I want to welcome my sisters from another mother. We got KJ, we got Monty on here, man. Y'all say what up.
What's up?
Hey, everybody.
It's lit. It's lit. You already know what it is, man. P, let's lock in, y'all.
Let's get it. Lock in. I'm kind of scared, D, because they playing football. I was scared to play football, to be honest. I mean, I'm a baseball player.
Yeah. You were a little soft.
Nah, it was just the weather. It was just too cold. It was just too cold for me. But I just want to lock in. So describe to our viewers where you grew up at and when your sports journey started.
So where I grew up, I'm originally from Dallas, and so if you know Texas, everything is about football.
Football, yeah. Football is life.
Football is life, and that was what started me even being interested in football. It's just that's sports my brothers played. It's what I played with my friends, and it's really the only sport that I actually wanted to play. And I remember being in high school and hearing that there were women on men's football team, boys football teams, but they were like kickers, and I couldn't do that, but I really wanted to play football. And the only time I got a chance to play football was Powder Puff, which was a flag football game for juniors versus seniors. And I can't tell you how excited I was to actually get a chance to hold that football, to play on the football field. It was, and this is when I had moved to Boston and I went to high school in Newton. I got a chance to play, and it was so exciting. And that's literally the only time that I wanted to play a sport was always football, just because as a kid, that's what we used to do. We used to get a football and somebody's dad would be the quarterback and we would play football. And I was like, I thought I was, Reggie White, at the time.
I was getting physical.
As a kid,
yeah.
I don't know if I wish they had film. Because, honey, those teams, the Blues, because I had a really great center of gravity and they couldn't take me down. But that's what I loved. I really loved it. So that's where it started. And it just grew from there with, watching the sport. And, I ran track. I didn't feel a passion about it. It was just something that I could do. But when I got an opportunity to play, like the physical part of football is what drew me.
Hey Jay, what's up, man? Where did it all get started for you at?
So I'm originally from Southside Jamaica, Queens, New York. You already know. Unlike I feel like although New York has, two football teams, I feel like it's more, New York City is more like a basketball type of city. So I didn't really get to play, football as a child. I only got into it, after going to games with my dad. And I never considered playing football. I played, I was a cheerleader and I played tennis for several years. And those were the things I had access to and the things that girls were doing. And I never even thought outside of that because it seemed like such a, an outlandish thing to think of girls playing football. So it wasn't until I was introduced to the DC Divas that I actually considered myself, playing football and full contact at that, not saying that any other type of football is lesser, but
talk your shit.
If you're going to be aggressive, I find it hard to play football without actually hitting somebody. And I love it. I feel the exhilaration of putting my pads on and making contact. And I understand why so many boys and men dedicate their lives almost from when they're like 3-4 years old up through, you know, high school and beyond, because it is addictive, you know, that passion you feel and the exhilaration of playing.
That's dope. That's dope, man. Like, you know, when I played in high school and college, man, and even after, man, like you're right. Like you're putting on the pads, like you're going to war with your homies, man. But like that, after the first hit, like you get in the groove of the game, like you get a first down, like you make a play. There's something about making a play, man, and just like letting folks know, man, like, yo, I can play this game better than you, my guy. So, I mean, you in for a long day. It's just like you being on the baseball field, Pete, man, like you being at the plate. You mano a mano against the pitcher, man, and I mean, the best man wins. But I know you guys got into it, man, but let's dig a little deeper into why football though. Like talk like the exhilaration of putting on the pads, being coached, game situations, and just the feeling that you can't really get from anything else. So why football? What has the game done for you? And how has the game helped you grow?
So I can tell you how it kind of started with playing for the Divas, and it really was random. I was working out on the bleachers at Coolidge High School in DC, and I thought that the people playing on the field was the high school that I was at. And I was running the bleachers working out, and one of the coaches gave me a card and said, you should play for us because, you know, I see you running up the bleacher, you know, they hype you up. I see you running, you know, you want to, you know, they recruited me kind of. And this is like 2013. So I got the card and I kind of looked into it and I'm like, okay, this is like, they play like real football, like they hit each other. And I'm like, first of all, when I saw the size of the women, I was immediately intimidated because when I tell you Refrigerator Perry.
So talk about it. Like a lot of people don't get so up here. I know we have a team, the Boston, what is it?
Renegades.
Boston Renegades. Boston Renegades from the WFA, man. So like talk to us about the size of these women. Like these, I know y'all playing with some, I mean,
Kristin and I are
some joints. Y'all playing with some joints.
We're not playing. We are not considered, and
we're runts.
Kristin are always considered ourselves bigger girls.
Right.
We have never seen women the size or as strong as we've seen across that line of scrimmage.
One of our D linemen is, I think she holds the lifting championship record. I think she has a record for bench press. I think it's 405 pounds in the state of Maryland.
Okay.
Wow.
So,
yeah. I can't
if you can imagine.
So this is some real stuff. This is not no.
This isn't a game. I mean, it's a game, but it's not a game.
Some of these women have been playing for over a decade. Yeah, some of these women have been playing for over a decade. Some of them actually played in high school, you know, before that was even like the niche thing to do. And some of them, you know, have dedicated their lives to this sport and sacrificed their bodies for, you know, years, like into their 40s, you know. So imagine, you know, like Tom Brady gets a lot of praise for that now, but imagine if you're doing it as a woman and you still have a family and a job and all that stuff. So it's definitely, like, as far as like size is concerned, a lot of the women they're just like built for tough. They're trucks, you know, and then there's us, and we're the puny princesses of the line. You know, and for us, we consider ourselves, we're not small girls, you know.
Any other situation, we consider ourselves like bigger girls, you know, like. But when you are comparing yourself to, you know, a nose, you know, people are
390, or a girl that's 275 pounds, 6'3".
Yeah,
and you're like,
you've never even seen women this big in your regular life. So you're like, you know, you see someone that's 6'2", 6'3". You see someone that's 300 pounds and of not just blubber, but they're like strong.
They're moving. Yeah.
They're telling me, line up against her and drive her back. Okay, good.
Wouldn't be me.
Salute to all,
head to head with
all the linemen.
You know, salute. Crazy.
Catch Patrick at the baseball field, catching pop flies.
But there's something to be said about being in the trenches, right? So, you know, we play in the trenches. For those who don't know, that's you're on the line, and when you're there, there's no glory. Nobody's praising you. That, you know, you don't get to make the touchdowns. You don't make the first down. There's none of that. You have to just be locked into being effective. You have to know that it's not ever going to be your job to take the ball over the line. but you have to make the way, right? So nobody can do anything without you. And that's like the mentality that our coaches instill in us and that we instill in each other. Nothing will happen in the game without us. That no passes can get off, no runs can go forward without us. So we have to be able to kind of be selfless in that we are going to sacrifice our bodies, throw all of it up against another big old bruiser, and you know, hope that it works out. Hope that everybody else is doing their part as well.
Hope you win.
I love that. I love how you kind of like was really digging in deep in that, because a lot of people, like you said, you don't get the accolades, the praise like a Tom Brady. That's a quarterback. A Randy Moss.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? A running back like Ezekiel.
Yeah.
Like people
Jerome Bettis.
People forget about the D line and the offensive line because, like you said, nothing gets done without,
we got one movie. We got Michael Orr.
Right.
Michael Orr.
Unless you're so exceptional, like a JJ Watt. I know we can get to this later, but you know, you have to be so exceptional to make a name for yourself, to make some real noise, especially depending on how your offense is set up and your defense is set up, to make some real noise. Because even, you know, I love my linebackers, but they are, you know, they want to
tackles.
So they want you to go in hand-to-hand combat with the O-line while they slip through that gap you made for them. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It can be, you know, if you're a competitor and you understand the game, you know why your role is important. But if you're trying to get, you know, I want to be the one to make the play. I want to, you know, get in the backfield. Like, if that's your mentality, sometimes there can be a little bit of a battle if you're just trying to get, you know, the accolades. But understanding the game and knowing your role, you know, it's a beautiful sport. And that's why I always talk about how amazing football is that everybody's job matters. You know, unlike a lot of other sports, every single thing that happens, every design of a play, that it matters. And if you are 1 second short of what you were supposed to do, or you went to the wrong gap because you wanted to make the play and they exposed you, that's it. You know what I'm saying? That's a touchdown for somebody, you know, or that's a turnover, depending on where you are.
This is dope, D. This is dope. They're digging in. So, football question, Aaron Donald, because I say that he's the best player in the NFL. And the reason why I say that is because of the position that he plays and how dominant he is in that position. What do you guys think about that? Like, as far as, because you guys play defense, and that's why, you know, I'm asking the question, because everybody glorifies the Pat Mahomes, again, the quarterbacks, but that D tackle position is no joke.
Yeah, Aaron Donald is
fine. Oh, sorry.
And he's fine.
Talk y'all shit. It's all good.
He's amazing. I mean, and that's the thing that I feel that, you know, the glory goes to the offense and the offensive players and the quarterbacks and the wide receivers, you know, and that goes without saying. But there's no, I don't feel like there's an equivalent, you know, praise for those type of D tackles and D ends, like the JJ Watts, the Aaron Donalds, who are literally like, they are machines. Like, if you watch JJ Watt play, he's scored touchdowns. He played tight end. You know, he's done everything. He's done things that he's not supposed to do as a D-end. He's not gonna get, you know, MVP. No matter what, it's gonna be Aaron Rodgers. You know what I'm saying? Who does his job, does it well, but he does his job. He's not lining up on a line of scrimmage. You know what I'm saying? Going to catch a pass, throwing the pass to himself or anything like that. He's not doing anything that's exceptional. But, you know, the Aaron Donalds, just an amazing player. And
he's like he's a three-time defensive player of the year, but like never going to be MVP.
Yeah, like,
I mean, it's crazy.
Everything, and you'll never get that because it's an offensive, like, it's all about either you're the great quarterback or you're the great receiver, but you're not going to get that, you know, that final award, that the maximum level, you know, of an accolade if you're on a defensive or the O line too, you know. But MVP is not coming to the D line.
Stop.
Even though
Stop.
you can be amazing.
Like I think about the fact that
came back
300 pounds and could run a 4.6.
Ridiculous.
You know what I mean? Like those types of things are incredulous.
Right.
Like he's if you put an extra 100 pounds on some of those receivers, they could not do that. And so to me, it's almost like even more miraculous that as a person of that size, he can move like the way he moves, because I know that other players, if, like I said, you packed 100-pound sack on their back, would be super limited.
Right.
Right.
So I feel like all offensive line and defensive line, I think offensive line even less than D line, as far as like
where the money's made.
Usually, yeah, exactly. Because you have like your Von Millers and your Dwight Freeneys, and everybody's like, oh, woo, because they're making sacks. And,
all the defensive ends, all the defensive ends get a lot of hype.
Yeah, all that. Offensive line does work. The camera immediately is like panned off.
Right.
You're like, oh, where'd the ball go? So I've said that to our coaches too. I was like, O-line needs stats. And they're like, what are we going to count?
Right.
Pancakes, baby. Count them pancakes.
Yeah, but you
knock somebody on the ass.
But you could be a super effective lineman and not pancake.
True.
You know what I
Very
mean?
True.
I could keep you off of the quarterback all day, and you still be on 2 feet. So it's just,
and the ones that get those quarterbacks, those stats.
Exactly.
You got O-line that's able to hold off all these dogs for 4, 5, 8 seconds, and you don't hear about it. It's just like
right.
So
we definitely didn't play for the glory, but I do think that
for the love of the game.
Yeah,
like once you get in football, it's for the love of the game. Yeah. As
a woman, especially, like we both have had injuries, right? And we still have jobs, and we still have responsibilities and family and friends and lives. Unfortunately, because our league, though it's been around for over 20 years, does not get the money that the NFL doesn't get the attention. We're just starting to get sponsorships this year. We don't have salaries, the same way that an NFL, even in arena football, they have. So we all have to maintain jobs, and some people have, we're women, so some have children, stuff like that. And it's not like, oh, I could just leave my kids with my spouse and travel the country. It's like, no, you have real responsibilities. So unfortunately, when doing all this, it's like all sacrifice, right? All sacrifice. We're giving, and it's all for those little glimpses and little pieces of like, a rush and adrenaline that you get during the game. I would love to be able to support myself doing this, right? I would love to be able to live, the life fantastic, have 1,000 cars.
Hell yeah.
Right.
Unfortunately,
MTV
as
crib.
women, nobody, first of all, you tell men that you play football and they go, oh, you playing flag? No. Oh, you play lingerie? And then you're like, no. And then when you tell them they play tackle, they're either like amazed or they're disgusted or they're confused.
We'll talk more about that. Like for the both of y'all, man, like, what has been the support that you've gotten from men or the lack thereof, and why do you think that is?
I feel like the ones like that are like your real, people that are in your corner will support you no matter what it is you're doing. But I feel like having to prove myself or having to prove that this is a legitimate venture is something that, they think it's like, oh, you play football? That's cute. Like, they don't think that you actually are playing legitimate football. They think it's like either, like Kristin described, lingerie football or something it's meant to be physically attractive for men. And it's like, no, we put our hands in the dirt. You know what I'm saying? Everyone on these dogs, they look like y'all. You know what I'm saying? The women that I play with are bigger than y'all. And I say that without exaggeration. Yeah. And so it's to describe it in a way that's like, we're not playing to appeal to you men as like sexual creatures. we play this game because we like to play, and we're playing it with a lot of heart. And it's hard to get that attraction to, for men to respect it, number one, and respect it in a way that's like, we're not out there to, be pee popping and, showing our booties.
Entertainment,
we
right?
are actually
Entertainment.
playing
Right.
a real sport, the one that you watch on Sundays and college football on Saturdays. We're playing that sport. And if it's not meant to entice you in a certain way as a man, then some of them are just like, oh, I looked at one and they look like me. Yeah, they look like you and they play really well, and are you going to respect the game, or are you just there to, look at whatever looks nice to you? It's that the game is ugly, it's violent, and that's what we did out there. Like, we are playing a very violent sport. We're not out there to be cute and pretty. It's ugly. It's, in the trenches. I know me and Kristin in the trenches,
it's hard to imagine us being ugly, but yes, it does.
I know it's hard,
it
but
gets uncute. Okay, it gets a little rough.
Cute.
Exactly.
Yo, you guys did tell me about that joke that I was going to tell, so that was really funny. I like how y'all threw
But you know what? Even with me and Kristin, playing in a sport that's male dominated, we experienced, our teammates, because our teammates are masculine presenting women. So when we, skipped across, this field, being our little girly selves, people looked at us like, they didn't want us to play, because they felt like, I know they felt like we delegitimized the sport, because you're not, out here. We don't got.
And I'm like, guys, let's play football.
Yeah. Girls, like, they felt
so you guys
like,
are getting it from both sides.
Yes,
externally, from
absolutely.
outside, like folks like hating on y'all, and then you got some like the lifers who were like, yo, we want you to, even though you're a woman, like come out here and be masculine, like come out here and be a boy. That's crazy,
right?
Yeah, be a boy. And if you're not a boy, we like, they called, when my rookie season, they called me Daisy Dukes. That I had my little short shorts, my little workout shorts that I would come to practice in and do our little drills in or whatever. This is before we had our pads and stuff. We were just conditioning. But they called me Daisy Dukes, like, I'm just wearing what I wear when I work out. You know what I'm saying? And I don't wear basketball shorts, white beaters.
I tried, and it looks
my titties down.
a mess.
Like, I'm just me. This is what I wear when I work out. So when I come to practice, this is what I'm wearing. So I know for sure I got it from both sides. But at the end of the day, when you show yourself and prove yourself that you're there to be serious, they will respect you ultimately. Right. And I feel like that ultimately did happen. But me and Kristin, I can say, like, they call us Beyonce, because we're not changing who we are. Some people get there and they assimilate, they want to start, holding their dick, you know what I'm saying, or being
you're like, and we're like, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I still wear my nails and my jewelry.
Okay. My nail broke in my little gloves. Take my hand. You know what I'm saying? So all of that is a part of the culture. There's a culture too. There's a pressure to be a certain way. And if you're not, you kind of get alienated. But at the same time, me and Kristin, we're very strong-minded. So we were like, this is who I am. And I came to play. I'm serious. I'm serious about the sport. I come to practice on time. I come to hit y'all in the mouth. But you know what I'm saying? So they respect you ultimately, if they see that you're there being serious. But they definitely try to, bully you and try to, ain't, get in your face about stuff and all that. But I don't care.
The pressure, I think, comes with the men feeling they needed validation from men, right? Yes, so absolutely. NFL has, number one, the WFA used to be the WNFL, right? Then the NFL sued them and said, you can't call it the NFL.
Wow.
Just like the WNBA, there were different entities. Right. The NBA absorbed the WNBA, they became one. They were looking for that same thing. And that's over 20 years ago. And they were like, no. So now this league has existed, and there are other leagues as well. And we play all over the country. We travel, and when you're a woman playing the sport, you want to seem tough. Like, yeah, I do it just like them. But especially for me and Monica, we're able to exists in both ways, right? We can be ourselves, which is girly, and also be aggressive and passionate, and all the things that come with being a football player. And a lot of the times, like, I love pink, and I wear nails, and they're how you gonna da, da, da. I think about, I'm like, women do so much tough shit, on a day to day, have whole children, and you're worried about how I'm going to play football with nails, yes, I'm going to play football with nails and weave and wig or whatever. And I'm going to, some of my teammates have worn lashes and all that stuff. And it doesn't make them hitting you any less hard. Or I've had girls who, on the line against from other teams that underestimate me because I am probably the smallest girl on the line, or the most girly, and I might have my hand on my hip in the huddle. And then when I pancake her, or when I've had girl, I hit her in the chest, you're strong. Yeah, because we have to eliminate the idea of toughness being masculine. Right. How many women in your life do you know are just super strong, can take on anything, and they do 1,000 things a day all at once? It's the same thing with football. Why can't I do this? And I think when we started, a lot of guys teased us. Oh, y'all are preparing. Yeah, exactly. You're not gonna, what you're gonna be, you gonna bend over here. How many guys make jokes about, you could tackle me? You're like, I actually will tackle you. Do you really want to be tackled?
Like, for real.
And that's dope. That's dope, man. And like, in honor of, like, Women's History Month, that's another reason why we want to have you guys on, man, was the fact that, playing tackle football and in destroying a lot of these perceptions and like this narrative of what women can do. You guys are creating narratives of what women can do. And that's so important, man. And I salute you guys for coming on here and talking your shit, because there are a lot of young ladies who who are trying to decide what their sports journey is going to be now. And they just having them understand, like, there's representation in all across the sports, regardless of, the natural distinctions that keep boys and girls, on separate teams and separate sports. It doesn't take away the fact that you can or cannot do this sport. So I salute you both. Monty, you talked about your coach Black, how he helped you with your transition, and like, if you both can talk about coaches and mentors that have helped you along the way, please do.
So yeah, I had a coach. His name was Coach Black, and he was treacherous in many ways. I think some people didn't like his coaching style. That's why he, had to leave the organization. But for me, I liked him. I felt like he cared about my development as a player. I felt like he gave all the players a chance to prove themselves. And he would just push us really hard. So we would have, so my rookie year, we would have ridiculous conditioning in our practice, like with Coach Black. He would have us tackling each other and, bear crawling and doing crazy things. And then we would have to go team with the rest of, you know what I'm saying? You already, bear crawled across the field and then ran 50 miles.
Shoulders be burning.
You're literally
crazy.
Like
in your pads and helmet.
And they're like, okay, now go push this 300-pound woman back, 5 yards. Right. And you're like, okay, but I thought this practice was over. So he would kill us. But by the time we got to the line of scrimmage, it would just be like, it's just light work at this point. So once we got through that, I feel like once we got through that phase of, conditioning and, and he would make us go up against him. So, and he's like an FBI agent and is like, 200 pounds of solid muscle. So he would, toss us, it would be light work for him. He would throw us. And you go up against this diesel man long enough, anybody else that you go up against is not going to be a challenge. So he would just I'm sure that he probably just took out all his aggression on us and just threw us and tossed us. I mean, he was tossing 250-pound women, like, come, okay, line up against me. Well, you know what I'm saying? Whoever
no pads and no helmet, and you got pads on and the helmet.
Yeah, he don't have nothing on. You got on pads and a helmet, and he would toss you. And so getting tossed, getting thrown across a line or thrown on the ground, and you're like, wow, this person is like really overpowering me. You learn about leverage. You learn about how to beat the other person, because if you're just light and ass, you're gonna get dominated. So learning about leverage and lowest man wins and all that kind of stuff, those fundamentals are things that I felt like he really focused on, and it helped me as a player. But I think later with some of the new coaching, I just lost my passion, because I felt like
I can do it to you.
Coaching wasn't there. It wasn't there.
It
you have coaches that inspire you, and you have coaches that are like, they just panic. They don't have control. I like coaches that have confidence, control, and their minds are, clear. You have coaches that panic, are scared, you're going to play like that. And so I felt like that's pretty much what made me kind of step back, because the new coaching just wasn't up to the level. And this is, I think, team wide would say that the coaching just wasn't up to.
So you played 2 years or 3?
I played 3 total, I think.
So 2015 to 2018?
2016, 2017, 2018. Those seasons.
Liddy.
So the change in coaching really discouraged me, I would say, because I started out with a certain standard, and then I got to, and sadly, it was a woman coach who I felt like wasn't doing a good job. And she was a great player. But not all players can coach. And that's another thing I learned, is that you can be an excellent player, but translating that skill to other people is its own type of strength and skill that you have to learn. And if you don't know how to do that, then you're not going to be a good coach. And so I felt like there wasn't that unifying voice among the coaching staff, and there was a lot of drama and a lot of foolishness that happened. And I just kind of threw my hands up, like, and I know there was like a reorg after, and I know Kristin stayed along, and she definitely, like, the coaching staff that Kristin has worked under is to me really excellent, and I love the coaches, but I just kind of lost my passion for it.
KJ, talk about it. Talk your shit.
Right, Monica, you talk about that 2018 season. That was a season that you guys brought it home. So tell me about that process and how that season, and what got you guys at the end of the season.
We brought it home in 2016.
2016.
2016.
Okay.
That was my rookie season, and it was, I think, a really electrifying experience, but it was also it was bittersweet for me, because that was my injury season. I broke my ankle at practice, and I missed the season the week before our season started. And so I would come to practice, and I would always still be there to support, but it was upsetting to like have worked so hard all off season, and one fluke, practice or whatever. I wasn't even supposed to be playing at the time, but one of the vets or somebody wasn't lined up or whatever, so I just ran on the field, to fill the space. And of course, like I told y'all, 300-pound women, okay, fell on my ankle, snapped it. Okay, I had to get surgery and pins, and but that it motivated me still, because I still wanted to play after that, and I didn't lose that drive. I was just like, I'll just get better, and I will be back next season. You know what I'm saying? So it was sad, and it upset me, because I had worked really, really hard in the off season. It was the week before our first game, and I couldn't even, first of all, I walked off the field because I didn't know my ankle was broken. That's how much adrenaline that you feel, is that you can break something and not know it's broken until, that whatever that is washes away, and you're like, I actually can't stand on this leg anymore. Right. And it's really black and blue. And let me go get an x-ray. And they were like, it's broken and you need surgery. I couldn't even wrap my head around it, because I'm like, I walked off. Like, I didn't feel like it was broken.
Like he was Kobe. It's
crazy how much like the adrenaline that you feel when you're playing you can do anything at that moment and you won't feel anything. Like I definitely, that's why they call, it's like backtrop Mondays. You play hard and you don't feel anything. And then the next day it's like, I
That
don't know
body
what I did
settles.
to my body.
KJ, talk about it, man. I know you had an injury as well.
Yeah.
You stayed through the coaching changes and all that.
Regarding the coaching question, I had my current coach, and the coach that I think has probably had the most effect on me and impacted me as a player, is Coach Ghost. And Alicia Marfel, but we call her Ghost. That's what she went by when she played.
I love Ghost.
Yeah, she's
even
like
as a defensive player.
Yeah,
she's
played like everything. Like she's played like everything, and she played, she played as a DC Diva and on other teams for over a decade. So she's got like a wealth of experience. She's super tough, super strong. She'll be like, okay, I'm just gonna step in the drill, and then she like hits you in your chest, and then it caves in, and you can't breathe. And she's like, what? I didn't even hit you that hard. And you're like, ma'am, ma'am.
I can't breathe.
Right. She's like played like every position on the line. So she's like, imagine if you can imagine that. And she's super passionate about it. She's super knowledgeable. But she became like our mom, like on the field. And so we have those same kind of like emotional roller coasters. And she gets so passionate, and we could all be mad and then be crying, and then, but she sees exactly what you're doing wrong. But then she can comfort you when you're upset about something you did do wrong, and say, okay, let's just move on. So as far as like being knowledgeable about technique and about the game itself, she's been super, super, super impactful. She's actually in the DC Divas Hall of Fame as well. And regarding like injuries, like first of all, when I got injured, like she called me and she was crying. She was so sad, she feels it, like almost like she nurtures us and like from baby chicks and like pushes us out the nest. But I did tear my ACL in the 2019 at practice. I feel like a lot of people get.
What y'all doing in practice? Shit, what's going on over there?
But that's what I'm saying. We've changed. So some of that practice has changed since, but we used to hit in practice like we would in a game, and I mean to the point where people would be cursing each other out. Like we have to remember we're one team, guys. We're one team. But I would say, look, we have some of the hardest hitting women, in the league, and I tore my ACL at practice. Luckily it was a partial tear, didn't tear all the way. I actually rehabbed it. So that was before the first game. I rehabbed it. I only missed 4 games. And I actually played on the torn ACL. Because I figured, fuck it, can't tear it again, and then I just got my surgery after the season. So I got to actually play 5 games out of the season on the torn ACL. But like
salute.
Yeah, people talk, and my parents, they want, why would you want to do this? This is it. This is the sign, Kristin, to retire. And I'm like, I have had surgeries before I played football. I broke stuff before I played football. Nobody ever told me to quit walking or quit going outside or driving, anything. So why would I quit this just because I have an injury? And luckily I was able to, what motivated me to rehab was I was like, my team needs me, right? I'm a veteran O-lineman and my team needs me. So I need to get myself back in working order so I can be of service to them. And, even after having this surgery, unfortunately, COVID prevented us from playing in 2020, but I rehabbed myself. I had my surgery in July, rehabbed myself so that by January, I had already passed my readiness to return test so that I could go back. And, they were like, all right, well, we're not going to have you hit for blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I want to hit, I think my first practice back, I got 3 pancakes. I had so much like pent up aggression.
Come get it. Come get some.
Yeah, it's not even like aggression, like mean. It's like, I want to show everybody that that didn't take me out. And I think that affects my confidence in the outside world very much, because I feel very empowered being a female football player, just because I don't think anybody expects it from me, especially because I'm not like super, masculine or tough looking. And I'm very much a girly girl. And then I'm like, and I play football. And they're like, sure you do. And then they see you in a game and it's like a totally different person. So I totally identify with like that part of me, you know. It's like Beyonce, Sasha Fierce, but like one side of you is like, I can move that big old girl, or I could beat her off the line, or I can pancake. One of my favorite clips is a girl that's like 6'2", and I think from the Atlanta team, and in the clip, I keep her off. She gets up, comes back. I push her down again, and then I don't even realize what's happening until I get off the field. And they're like, "Oh!" And everybody's like, "Kristin, did you say that? Oh my God!" And you're like, "Oh my gosh, I did that!"
Out here getting money.
Yeah, everybody's eating. We're all eating, and that and the team camaraderie and the road trips, and even now we still hang out with our teammates outside. Teammates have gone to other teams. We still hang out. We're family.
That's super lit. That's super lit, because I think that's important, man. Especially when you're playing, either from high school on, like any sports that you do play, man. It's more about the relationships that you build. Because that just makes that chase for a championship that much better. Whether you lose, whether you win or lose. But you guys won the championship, you guys' rookie year. Tell us about like that process. Like chasing a championship is not easy, regardless of what sport you're playing. Like,
right. And that was
take us through the process. Take us through that process.
And that was that wasn't undefeated. The season before was undefeated.
They are coming off of a championship win.
So the expectations are sky high.
An undefeated championship win.
Yeah.
They had not.
So the team that you guys beat was undefeated the year before.
No, the team that we were on, the DC Divas, were undefeated in 2015.
So they won.
Gotcha.
And we dropped in.
Okay.
On that momentum.
Right.
Free agents, the hot free agents coming out. You know what I mean?
Right.
You get signed.
So me and Kristin come on there. So we have not played no football. Okay. We played regular competitive sport. So we get on the team. So as I told you, there was hostility based on us being the way we look, and we don't have a mustache or nothing like that.
Shut up, Monty.
So it was like it's
just a perception that we couldn't possibly be effective because we're so girly. Like you're gonna be more worried about your lipstick than your line, and all that.
Yeah, they don't think that because they have something to prove, not just in organizationally, but they have something to prove to sports. You know what I'm saying? And it's still that way of who can be the meanest, nastiest. Like Kristin played O-line. I played on the D-line. The O-line and the D-line were at war when we started. They were like, I don't fuck with them. You know what I'm saying? When we come to practice, we want to run them. Like, it was like literally like you wouldn't think that we were on the same team. But me and Kristin are friends. So when we
had been friends for a decade before that.
Yeah, we played against each other. We're competitive, so we would we had to go up against each other, and we sharpened each other. But it wasn't like, I don't care what happens to her, I don't care if she gets hit by, but that mentality, because remember they would target, I don't know, Kristin don't know, the D line and the linebackers were like pure evil. Like, when I tell you, the O-line, they were nice. They would try to help you. The defense,
I think the kindness of the O-line was taken on as weakness by the defensive players.
And it's like the O-line wasn't nothing to play with. Like, it
was the number one line in the country.
Talk that shit.
Yeah, but the D-line and the linebackers were dogs, you know what I'm saying? So they felt like they had to prove that they were the biggest, nastiest, meanest. So they felt like you couldn't be, cool with the O-line. So it was literally like we were dropped into like a divorce. Like, they're massive, like, that's targeting.
Because every time we're on the sideline, we gravitate towards each other. They're like, "Hey, girl, what you doing?"
Yeah, we would be done with a play. Like,
got on the
maroon,
right? She's a maroon, I mean white, and we're like.
And but we would hit each other. We would, like, you know what I'm saying, give each other the business because we wanted to sharpen each other. But it was never like that left the field. But some people were like, especially if you was on defense, it was like, even for me dealing with Kristin, it was like, oh, that's your homie, so you ain't gonna go tough on her, you know what I'm saying? So they would treat you like there was just like this alliance that you were on a total different team if you were on defense. And it was like, offense is a certain way and they have a certain culture, and we don't deal with that. They're weak. You know, they like to be nice to each other. We're bullies. You know, they would just wear that with pride. And it's like, that's not effective. You know what I'm saying? You're on the same team. Okay. And you need each other to sharpen each other's skills and stuff like that. So that was never my philosophy.
Right.
And as much as they tried to like, you know, enforce it, Kristin was always going to be my friend. And, you know, we were always going to, as much as competitive as we were, like me and Kristin have clashed, you know, we would go at it because people would think that we wouldn't, but we would go at it. And sometimes she won, sometimes I won. But at the end of the day, you know, we were trying to make each other better. And it was never like we took that off the field. She was still like, I still loved Kristin and she's still my homie. And, you know, that I feel like is probably better now than when we started. But when we started, when I tell you, they would try to send people like, I don't want you to play on this team anymore. I want to send you home. I want to, you know, I don't even remember that girl that they put on skates at one practice and she was
I mean, I got flipped over a few times, and I think, and I was like,
on the O-line,
"Ooh, all right."
She never came back again, and she was like 6'3", 300 plus pounds. She would probably been a great player if they would have.
Size ain't all it when you come. I mean, when you playing sports, it's not all
but
about
I think
size.
that was what they were trying
to bully her out of it, you know.
Got
so she lost, you know. She folded.
Now,
but I wish she would have fought.
They had that mentality because of that undefeated season, and they wanted to, you know, like no newcomers. Like, I want to keep this team together and stuff like that. And then here you two comes with, you know, your girly mentality.
I mean, we weren't the only rookies, but you know, like the thing is with that is that not only were they undefeated, right? They go up against their biggest rival. This, just like with regular, just men's, you know, football, that is the level of shit talking is just as high, right? So imagine you're doing that and you're in a women's league. You made history. The DC Divas are the most winningest, you know, franchise in the league, you know, so they're carrying this on their backs, back to back. We're about to get another one. We want to do it undefeated again. Right. So then we come in that season. Dallas, the team that we beat in the championship, has actually paid the league to play us, even though they shouldn't even be in a bracket. They play the league to play us the first game of the season, right? To try and set the tone. We end up losing that game. It's the worst weather conditions imaginable. It's rainy. It's 30 degrees. It's everything. It's terrible. We lose that one game. It creates a rampage, you know, almost, you know, it's like you could Braveheart at, you know, the end of it, and they're like blue paint on their face, like, because it's like you like, no matter what. Now, mind you, the rest of that season, we don't lose not another game. We don't lose any more games after that. And
it don't matter.
It doesn't matter, right? Because it's like a tarnish. But those women, if you think for some of the women playing, this is their thing. Right? They don't work to live. They work to pay their bills.
This is the pinnacle.
They live to play football. So, you know, they go to work, they go to school, whatever, but football, you know what I mean? They get injured. They're not worried about how they're going to get to work. They're worried about whether or not they're going to be able to come back and play football. You know, they're taking days off. They're traveling. They're investing. They're taking care of their bodies for football. So, you know, when you have something like that, they see us as like, is this going to be a threat to our mission? And I think when they started to see that we were going to put in as much effort and be as gritty and focused as they were, that's when they started to be like, oh, okay. And they started to kind of, you know, be more endearing towards those parts of us. And we encouraging them like, hey, you know, you guys don't have to act like Kimbo slicing them. You know, like, let's just have brunch, you know, like,
right.
You know, like, let's just be cool, you know, like, let's do fun things, let's laugh and joke. And, you know, that was another thing, you know, they don't want you don't want laughing. And I told, I'm not going to stop laughing. I'm a clown. I like to joke. I'm going to do it. And I think literally, like, it almost solidified our personalities even more than before, because we were like, okay, if we don't hold on to those pieces of ourselves, then we turn into this stereotypical, super, masculinified, soldier girl who's on the line. And, but we don't want to be that. I want to, flip my hair. I always wear dresses after the games. They're like, oh my God, here she goes with another dress. It's like, I'm a lady.
They saw me put my eyeliner on before a game. I'm like, I'm putting my cat eye on.
Y'all
exactly.
Y'all fucking
I play
hilarious.
better like this.
There's a straight camera that might catch,
Exactly. There's actually a picture of me like this on the sideline that the photographer took.
It would make them so mad, but eventually they just loved it because it was us. That was what we are.
You guys bring that pain during that game when you guys are.
And it's more than that though, right? Because a girl on the outside of this, right? A little girl, a teenage girl, whoever sees it, and maybe she is girly, right? Maybe she does like pink and sparkly, glitter and unicorns. I think that it's time that we all change the narrative around what femininity is. And femininity is not like dainty, girly, damsel in distress. Femininity is handling business. You have the children and get back to work. It is fighting every day in a marginalized society that's not built towards your success and being successful anyway. It's juggling things and being behind the scenes and not getting any praise for doing things that a man probably wouldn't want to or couldn't do, and moving forward and pushing past. Because, like I said, some of my teammates have children. Some of them not only have jobs, but they have they birth children and
had a baby
they
last season.
Exactly. Come back the next season.
And it's different because there are men that are, fathers, allegedly. They're dads.
Supposedly both of you guys.
Mommies that play football, when I tell you that this is a different beast, they're picking up, babies from soccer and coordinating this, because moms are, they're doing it all. So we're watching these mothers who have 2-3 kids do it all, and then they will get on that field and go bust somebody in the mouth, and you just would never think that this person is somebody's mommy,
and then come off the field and the baby's like, Mom, and they take off their helmet and they're like, okay,
and you watch their fingers get torn off and bent this way, and they get off the field, go wrap it up and get back on the field. I mean, when I tell you, it is not anything that you've ever seen. It's not like even men's football, because these are women dealing with the world of being a woman, and you don't get paid to play this game, so you're paying to play. So you work whatever job you work, and you pay whatever fees to participate in this violent, crazy sport. And then you also go and pick up your 2-month-old baby, you know what I'm saying? Or it's just something you never see, you know what I mean? And I think that there's a lot to be said about, beyond just trying to assimilate to what the male version of this sport is to watch how women even adapt, not just to the working world and, breaking ceilings in corporate America, but on the field playing and being a monster. And then they're still like, oh, sweetie, your soccer game, I'm going to be there. It's just crazy. Like, you just wouldn't even imagine it. And it's not something that you even see with, like NFL players and stuff like that. Like they, I feel like, can take a more passive role in their kids' life because they are being the breadwinners. They are playing this game. But the moms don't get that luxury. They're still mommy. They still have to coordinate and do everything.
So let's dig into that part. Let's dig into that part, man. So
I think a bit like the bubble last year with the WNBA.
Okay, the bubble.
And you could see how they would have their kids there. You see Candace Parker and she's got her daughter with her. And, you're not thinking about like, why didn't you see that in the NBA bubble? Why? Because their moms had them, but some of them, like, Candace Parker's divorced. She's that, she's that primary parent. Her father plays in the league. She's going to be here with me at work, that type of thing, where that's a disparity. Can I focus here when my child, I'm who's watching my child as I'm, and those
trying to get a triple double.
Exactly. You know what I mean? Come on now.
But we would see those babies on the football field. They would be on the sideline watching mommy
running water,
somebody in the mouth.
That's lit.
And I think a lot of the kids have to be happy and proud of that too.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, shit. I would be if I saw if I saw Big B out there
Right,
being
let's
a
see
pulling
Brendan.
guard,
Come on, Brendan.
Big B out here being a
Come on.
pulling guard.
First of all, she'd
Getting
probably be an excellent tight end. We got to see what her hands is
Stop
looking
it.
like.
I
Yo,
think
stupid.
BB will be a good tight end though.
Yo, stupid.
Can you imagine? Oh my God, I would totally do it.
So playing football, man, and just being in the age where we are now, where like there's so many eyes on women's football, on women's sports now. There's so many eyes on glass ceilings being broken and trailblazers coming through the ranks of male dominated sports, NHL, baseball, basketball, football. How has this movement, this moment in time for women and sports in general impacted you? Like, what do you see is the ceiling for a lot of this growth for women gaining opportunities in male dominated sports?
I think as much as there's been a lot of advancement, we have a long way to go. And I think that's something that you could see and you can probably relate to as Black men as well, is that for every small step you see, the overwhelming majority of the sports and the respect that's garnered and the money behind it is for men. And until we reach that level of parity, those small steps, although inspirational, I think it still makes you feel like there's a lot to be desired, because there are women who are able to officiate games. There are women who are able to coach, but will they be respected? You know what I'm saying? And so there's that relationship where it's like you do get a certain level, you get an advancement here, but it's like, look, we have so far to go that it's like, how much of this can you really celebrate? Because we're really, really behind. So I think that it's inspirational, and we talked about, we have teammates who are coaching in the NFL, and it's like, it's crazy. It's amazing to see this person. I played with her, and to see how far she's been able to take this. But then you look at all the other positions, and that people just can be mediocre and have the right connections and get the same position. And, so there's a long way to go. I know Bill Belichick's kids, that, his son, you can just walk in and have that last name and get an opportunity. Right. Versus, Callie, she's played, football for years, and she's really good, and just
literally since she was a little girl, she's played football.
Right. And for her to get this opportunity is unheard of. But for someone that was like her, but she's a boy, would probably have been able to easily, get that position. And so, like I said, as much as you are inspired, there's just a lot. There's just, that we have a long way to go for women's sports in general, and Black women, Black men in the NFL. There's just a long way to go.
I think the biggest deal with women in sports and making it a commonplace is scholarship. I think as far as men, that is the biggest value in them playing sports. A lot of parents put their kids into sports with the intention of them having a scholarship, and with there being sports that women are not included in, those are scholarship opportunities. Nobody, a lot of women aren't getting a full scholarship to play, volleyball or some of those other team sports that women, tennis. There's 70 scholarships for football players, and if we can get to a point where, women in this sport and in others, they get that same money thrown behind it, they get that same popularity, their jerseys are selling, all those things. You now have enfranchised an entire group of women who, not only, through them just playing it and feeling empowered, but you're giving them money to push them forward. Like that scholarship can make a big difference. I wish I had known. I never considered even getting an athletic scholarship. Had I been trained from the time I was 3 or 4 to play O-line, I might have had a totally different, way of looking at life and high school career. And, you think of all the great things that little boys and young men gain from playing organized sports. And you think of how they push girls to be a cheerleader,
Right.
go be a gymnast,
Run
be a
track.
this. Exactly. And they're not pushing them into these sports that can get them full scholarships. So then you go to school, you do whatever you do. There is no national, you're not getting into the league, you're not drafted, all these things. Like, so you're now even there, even just from not having gone to school for free at a behind your counterparts.
All right.
Because Lord knows student debt is
Factuals.
It's
Factuals.
Yeah.
and that's just me
Factuals.
looking at the logistics of it. Like
Yeah.
Factuals. What you got for
I
us,
would have
P?
loved to go to school for free. Okay.
All right. And playing a sport that I love. Come on.
Right.
I mean,
and even then the boys got tutors, the football team got tutors, they got jobs on campus, they what I'm saying, they got meals, like they got mad money on their like Husky card. I'm just talking about the season, but they had all these things that were given to them. It was like, oh, you need help with your work, all right, cool. It's like, you need help with your work, they left.
Right.
Good luck, Google it. Google
it.
Stuff like that. You need housing. All right, we're gonna make sure you have some place to stay. The football team always has a dorm room, right?
Right.
Where are the things for girls like this?
Yeah, I mean, we can look at the NCAA. The girls didn't even have
Okay.
a weight room or anything
You see
like that.
That was
wild.
That was just didn't make any sense. Like, you
the
as a
universe.
grown adult running $1 billion industry, and you telling me you don't like, how does that
Nothing.
even
There's
slip?
20.
How
There's
does that
20
even
racks.
slip?
There's 20 racks behind this curtain why can't I walk over and get
But
on
you
those
have to
racks?
remember who's in power, who's making those decisions,
Right.
who's there's the further up the ladder you go, the less diverse, the less consideration they would be mindful of. They probably were like,
I mean, we can be candid. We can be candid,
Monty.
Monty.
To live 30 pounds.
Monty, we can be candid. I mean, the higher you climb up in the ladder, I'm saying with the NCAA is white men. White men.
Yeah.
They're responsible.
Right.
Yeah.
There's no diversity up there.
But to me, even down the ladder, like the person who ordered for the boys, and they were saying we need 20 racks. So they were like, so how many racks for the girls? And they were like, racks for the girls.
They're probably like, the most a woman can physically lift is 20 pounds. So get them.
It was like some Jack LaLanne hand. I was like, I can get those at Five Below. I can get that at Target.
Equity, man, is the fact that nobody even thought about, like, yo, what is the equitable situation?
Professional athletes.
That's just, it's bonkers. It's bonkers that happens.
But they said, oh, there wasn't any room. I said, first of all, you don't even need 2 weight rooms, right? So like literally, why not just say, while y'all are on the court, you guys use the rack while we're on the court. They were like, no, ladies, we don't want you to hurt yourself.
They gave them a post-it note in 6 weights and said, do Pilates.
Exactly. Kanye's workout plan.
Right. We'll do a couple squats and go on the court. I mean, and it's just like they had to be bullied. Now they have all the things they need. But why do you have to expose?
I mean, it's sad.
All that
but my thing is not even in the best interest of the team. Where are your coaches? I'm looking for where everybody else who should be an advocate for you is. Where your coach, your head coach should have been like, this is OD. I need them to lift. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, our coaches encourage us to lift. Right. So to me, it becomes a trickle down effect. The top does something fugazi, and everybody on the bottom is too busy being worried about the top to really be able to advocate for what things they know are fugazi. This is correct. This is dumb. It's dumb at that point. It's just stupid.
Right.
So.
And this is Division I we're talking about. This is not.
That's what I'm saying. Like, these women are bringing money in.
Type of shanty weight room. Just elastic bands and rubber bands that other people are getting at other
exactly
schools.
Only scrunchies, because that's what they think you can pull apart to make a ponytail.
It's wicked out here for y'all. Oh, it's wicked.
Crazy.
All right, ladies,
but to get back to on the field, you guys had an amazing career playing football. So what do you want your legacy to be? What do you want, Monica and KJ, what do you want people to remember you guys of like?
I want people to remember that I didn't change who I was to play the game. And I can say that I'm one of those people. There are very few women that you'll ever meet who have actually put on the pads and lined up and played a game and hit somebody in the mouth and got hit in the mouth. You know what I'm saying? And when I talk to like guys that have played, they play their whole lives. I can relate. I can relate to that, wanting to still play. I can relate to aging out of it, you know what I'm saying? Or that your career ends at a certain point. I can relate to all of that. And I feel like, this is like a sorority of women. There's so few of us, even though the league, how many teams are there in WFA? I want to say is
I can't tell you now because COVID has taken,
yeah,
a
but
few out of the
it's like
box.
there are teams, and we've played across the country, but there are so few women that have ever done this. That I can say I feel like I'm a part of history. I feel like I'm part of that legacy that is breaking down barriers. And me, me and Kristin came in not knowing what to expect, and being kind of naive, but I feel like we proved ourselves, and we were able to make our name for ourselves on our team and get the respect of our teammates and coaches. And I can say I have no regrets playing football, and I wish I could play longer. I know now that I'm 36, it's just you can feel your body rejecting that type of activity.
Yeah.
But I have no regrets. I wish I could have played. I wish I started earlier. That's all I can say is, I wish I could play longer. And I've always loved this sport. And watching NFL football and watching professional, you just have a different respect for the game once you've played it. You respect all the positions. Some people just watch for the quarterback and the wide receiver, but when you see a good left tackle, you know what I'm saying? You see a good DN, you see a good nose, you can respect the game. You respect every position. And, I don't think I would have ever gotten that experience just watching. So
Liddy. Okay, Jizzle.
So what I would want people to remember about myself, or was that there was no one. I wasn't never one-sided, right? I was always versatile and able to adapt, and I was respectful when I did it. I was respectful. I was, attentive. I was focused. I took it seriously. And then I also took, being myself seriously. And even if that means being, joking and all that stuff and maintaining, I would hope my teammates and my coaches think of me as a positive influence. I always wanted to make everybody better, and I always wanted to be an asset, and that I put my all into it. I gave 100% all the time, and I gave 100% of my body and my mind into it. And, just like I like to think I give to other aspects of my life, I dedicated myself to football in a way that will be memorable and will be impactful, and not necessarily glitzy and glamorous, but in the substantive way that, being a team player is impactful. So that's how I would want to be remembered. Hopefully I get a couple more rings, and
rings.
Then I could really settle on them. I actually worked with a guy who won the Super Bowl, and for the formerly known as the Redskins. I think that year that they had like a bunch of scabs come on and play.
Mm-hmm.
And so he wears his Super Bowl ring to work. And so when I got mine, I was like, oh, look, I'm wearing matching. And he's like, oh, that's nice. But it's something to say, have you ever met a girl, out and she has a Super Bowl ring?
Do you wear yours out? Like before COVID, like were you wearing yours out?
Yeah, I mean, I wore it out, but I didn't want to, like lose it.
Right. Oh, thank you, ladies. For all those listening, thank you all for locking in. You can't get this real talk anywhere else besides the Talk Your Shit Sports Podcast. But before we we got a few more things, and we're gonna wrap up. Every week, we do a Black History highlight, man, and we just want to highlight, our girl, our former DC Diva, the fourth woman in the NFL to ever hold the position, former Carolina Panthers coaching intern, and the first ever African-American woman ever to be hired as a full-time assistant coach for the Washington football team. We want to salute our homegirl, Jennifer King, yo.
Yes, sir.
But yeah, so one thing we want to ask all our guests before we get off, man, it's this greatest of all time conversation. So you got Tom Brady, MJ, LeBron, Serena, Mayweather, Hank Aaron, Tiger Woods, Muhammad Ali, Walter Payton, Deion Sanders, etc. Who's your GOAT? Who's your greatest of all time? Monia, we'll start with you, and KJ will come at you next.
I mean, I think you have to say Serena.
Okay, talk your shit.
I think that's been settled. She's won. I don't remember her record, but I remember it being like more titles than anyone in any sport ever. So I feel like you have to say Serena. In terms of who my GOAT is, I'm a professional Brady hater, but I'll give him his laurels. But at the end of the
professional Brady hater.
Yeah,
I am her assistant.
Okay.
Yeesh. Oh yeah, you're a Jets fan.
You're a Jets fan.
I just feel
AJ, no.
Tom Brady, the MAGA
AJ. Jets.
You're biased. Biased Boston, but I think you have to give Tom Brady his flowers, but I will only say that very shortly, and I'll move on quickly to who I really love, which is Peyton Manning, because I feel like he changed the game. I think he changed the position of quarterback, coming to the line of scrimmage with like 3 different plays, calling audibles. I don't think you can say that about Tom Brady. So that, in that respect,
you can.
No, but I can say that Tom Brady, he did his thing, but I'm always going to be a Peyton Manning girl.
You got it. KJ, what's up?
I'm gonna agree with Serena because
the Queen. Yep.
Yeah, we're not gonna be remiss by leaving out that she did some of that pregnant. Okay. And I'm going to sprinkle on to the Tom Brady thing. Like, yes, I think he is a record-breaking quarterback, but you also can't do none of that alone. The teams are being built around him. And if you come to the game and you got a bazooka and you got a shotty and you got a grenade and you got a this, you got a that, because on the years that he did not have things around him, it, always did it crumble like an apple crumb cake. So
wow,
my goats would be,
because we can go back to those Super Bowl rosters and they weren't star-studded now. They weren't star-studded. There's a bunch of nobodies on a lot of those teams.
Right.
Are you saying
I digress.
Okay, because
don't make me start.
You cannot win a football game, right? Yep. With inept players, right? He can't throw it and catch it. He can't then block for himself and then so.
But if the defensive players are better than your offensive players and you still win, what's up?
But I mean, the Divas have been that. We've had games where we only won because the defense scored. You know what I mean? Like I've been in that position. And it wasn't because my quarterback was the greatest of all time. Although Allie Hamlin is one of the greatest female quarterbacks.
Oh, yeah.
In league history.
Shout out to Hamlin.
Okay.
But
my goat is, of course, the Black Mama himself, Kobe Bryant. May he rest in peace.
Let's get it.
Gianna. I can't think of a player who is more, when I tell you, just like resilient and like playing with broken fingers, playing with broken toes, playing with a torn ACL, but Achilles, and then just like still putting up 32. It's nothing. Being the first to practice, being the last to leave. All the players themselves that play with him were like, yeah, he gonna watch his film. He gonna look at yours. He gonna tell you what you need to do. He gonna show up to the gym to help you do it. He's gonna speak in the language of the foreign players so that they can know what to do without having to feel like, like literally they're like, he just speaks to me. And Pau Gasol's like, he speaks to me in Spanish. Because he knows that's what I understand best. That's my first language. Or Italian players he speaks to. To me, that is, although he's been called conceited, a ball hog, all that stuff, sometimes when you have to put the game on your back, right? So he's a player who could put the game on his back, but also he's a player who could make sure, hey, what do you need? What do you need from me? Let me, what did he hold out on his contract to make sure Pau Gasol could play with the Lakers for an extra few years? The same thing with keeping like the 09-08 teams together. What do I have to do to keep these teams together? There's never like blaming at the end of it. None of that. It's like, look, we didn't do what we were supposed to do. Even if he put a 45, we didn't do what we were supposed to do, and that's why we lost. It's not like Tom Brady, who may come and say certain people were not doing in front of the press or whatever. But as far as like being a class act, hardworking, determined, focused, I don't know anybody who could like more disciplined than Kobe Bryant. And I think, I don't know. Yeah, I don't want to shed a tear. That was
right. We get it.
He's my Black Panther.
I agree. I agree with that. I mean, Kobe. I mean, I'm one of those I'm one of those people that hate when they overlook Kobe. I'm not a Kobe fan. I'm right now. Mm-hmm. I grew up an Allen Iverson fan. I hate the conversation.
We both.
Huh?
We like AI too. That's fine.
Okay. I hate when they gloss over Kobe and go right into LeBron and say, "Oh, LeBron," and like, no, you can't forget about Kobe. Like, you really can't forget about Kobe.
Would LeBron be LeBron without Kobe?
Good point.
Yeah.
Because even him himself has said, like,
he was the bridge. He was the bridge.
What was I saying?
Right. P, what's up? What you got for me for your what the fuck moment?
Now, my what the fuck moment goes to Mr. NCAA. Please get these girls some weights. They've been putting up some work. Like, you have Paige going crazy for UConn. You have all these talented females. Like, treat them like priority. Like, you the same way that you treat the Gonzagas and all these guys, the Dukes and all these guys, give them all their flowers. Come on, these girls are busting their ass. They're out here in a bubble just like the boys. Give them weights. Please, Mr. NCAA, give them weights.
Mr. NCAA, give them weights. All right, ladies, so we're wrapping up, and I think I mentioned this earlier, man. We like to give the folks a little bit of inspiration to leave with them. What you got, Monty?
Stay true to yourself.
Factuals. KJ?
Brush your teeth, wash your hands, wear your mask when you're outside. Okay, COVID is real. Although we are vaxxed, but COVID is real, guys. Be careful.
Super lit. P, what you got?
Just live and enjoy life, man. Life is too short, man. Just live and enjoy life.
Live and enjoy life, man. One thing I want to leave with the folks, man, is continue to create your own narrative. Do your own thing. Be who you are. Love who yourself. And no matter, like these ladies said, no matter what you're doing, always be yourself doing it. And I think that's really most important. I think that's a good lesson for our young ladies. Monty, before we get out of here, I want to let the world know Monty is one of the best young artists out there in the world, y'all. You can see the work, you can see the drip, you can see the professionalism. You see how lit that is. Monty, talk to him, Monty. What that'd be like? And where can they find you?
I wear many hats. You know what I'm saying? If you want to see.
Monty, I think I remember that store that I seen that painting from. What store did you get that from?
Nothing's for sale.
Oh.
I want.
I was just doing a little jab.
I'm an artist that
the jab is that she won't sell all these things.
I won't sell that. That is the joke. I don't sell my art. Because
does that make sense to y'all?
I work in a profession that provides me enough money to do the things I want to do. I don't work for money when it comes to art, so I don't have to sell it. And a lot of times I create because I like the way it looks and it's just mine. I do have to start selling them because I don't have space anymore for all of my art. But I wear many hats.
So contact me if you'd like some artwork. I will be.
If you want some art, I'm gonna do a show at a yoga studio in May. I think I'll post the advertisement. Allegedly selling some of the art. I guess I have to.
You have to.
Well, you let us know.
Unless you're gonna have a hoarder house full of canvases.
It's literally.
Let us know so we can post it on our IG, man, so we can amplify your work, man, because that's really important, man. Even though sports brings us together, man, we understand that folks really have to make a living, and we promote entrepreneurship out here. So salute y'all. Thank you so much for coming on. We're gonna give y'all flowers, man. We want to thank y'all for your amazing sports journey. DC Divas versus everybody. Monty and KJ out here really getting physical with them, putting hands on people. You already know what it is.
Right.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's another episode of the Talk Your Shit Sports Podcast. You can find us on our YouTube channel, the Talk Your Shit Sports Podcast. Find us on IG. Follow us. Tell your friends. You can find us anywhere you listen to your podcast. Apple Podcasts, Anchor, and Spotify. You can find all our content on there. It's been real. We love y'all, and we out.